Hi, this is Mark Arnold with another episode of Fun Ideas Podcast. And today I have on the show Ms. Kristine DeBell. How are you?
Good. How are you?
And you may recognize her from such movies as Meatballs or I Want to Hold Your Hand, or I don't know. You did quite a few different
Yeah.
films over the years.
Yeah.
Um,
Blood Brothers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're also here, and I'll say it at the beginning, and then we'll re-promote it later in the show. You were a special guest at the Salem Paracon on November 12th and 13th. Is that correct?
I will be, yes. And I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Salem before.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. Too bad it's not on Halloween weekend.
Yes. Well, I have, but
I might see Bette Midler there. No.
I have, but I've been to Salem, Oregon, because I'm in Oregon. Actually, I have been to Massachusetts before, but more Boston area.
Yeah.
Now, where do you reside in normally?
I live in upstate New York.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you're in
Not far.
LA or New York, or so if you're on the East Coast, it's very close. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So basically I first got to know you from probably what is arguably one of your biggest films, which is Meatballs. And admittedly, I thought you were very attractive. You still are. And so, I'm in my 50s. So, it's like I'm going to be 56. So, you could tell what age I was versus what age you were. And I'm like, this is one hot chick. Okay, so I'll just get that out of the way.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. It's like I know. It's like I fell in love with you at Meatballs. There's an age, right? Like,
yeah. And of course, I was not going in for you, unfortunately. I was going in for Bill Murray because the original Saturday Night Live was the hottest thing out there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did you sign up to do that movie prior to him becoming a big star in Saturday Night Live, or what was the timing on all that?
The timing was, I just auditioned for a film and they said, you have it. And come to find out, Ivan knew Bill and said, Bill, need you to do this film. And he wouldn't answer him. Come on, Bill, you got to come out. Bill. And he showed up late. Ivan truly did not know if he was going to show up on set or not, but he finally did. Yeah. And, the rest is history.
Right. I've kind of read that was I don't know about now for Bill Murray, but back then, like I read the book about Caddyshack. He was notoriously late on that and he didn't even want to do it. And then they finally convinced him. So I guess that's just his modus operandi back then.
I would say so. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. He came out of Second City, right? And then he just started Saturday Night Live, and it's like, oh wow, TV, this is nice. It's like, wait a minute, you want me to make a movie? No, I really don't know what he was thinking at the time, but yeah.
Now, how was Meatballs presented to you? I mean, was Bill Murray already signed saying, hey, it's this wacky Bill Murray comedy, or is it just a summer camp comedy? How did they present it to you?
Yeah, well, for me, sorry, my nose is itchy.
That's okay.
As an actress, I mean, my agent called and said, you've got an audition. And I went to the audition and I read for the character of AL, and then went home and, fingers crossed, because it would be awesome to get a movie part. And I got it. Right. But I didn't know anything about Bill. And I think did I even watch Saturday Night Live? I mean, I know later. I don't remember it being on then.
Well, when was it filmed? Because sometimes it takes
79. Well, it came out in 70 late. 70,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it filmed the same year or was it the year before? That's why I was gonna ask. Okay. All right.
It was filmed in September. So
okay.
They have gotten it ready by the end of 79 for release.
So yeah, I think, since I was watching Saturday Night Live, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi had just left. And so that actually allowed Bill Murray's stardom to go up because now he was the star of the show. Even though there's other people on the show had been there since the beginning, like Gilda Radner and everything else, it somehow, he filled the void for those two. I don't know how that kind of worked, but
Yeah, well, because they wanted to make movies.
right, of
It's
course.
like the opposite, right? They came to LA because they wanted to make films.
Right. And I know they all worked together before because I mean the whole history is National Lampoon and
Right.
stage work, like you said, Second City and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um now another film that you that was out at the same time, I don't know the chronology of when you filmed them versus when they came out
Right.
because um it's one of my favorite films is I Want to Hold Your Hand. And I had to think for a minute, to be honest. I was like, what's Kristine in the where is she in this? I was like, wait a minute. And I was trying to think, and then I go, oh my God, it's that one scene where you know,
Yes, yeah, the one scene.
you
And it
know,
was so cool too. It's like,
mhm,
not knowing,
mhm,
I didn't, Zemeckis, it's always like post that you find Zemeckis' directorial debut,
yeah.
Spielberg is, and Spielberg was on set.
Mhm.
And then I later heard from friends at Kaleidoscope, oh my God, you worked with Spielberg? I'm like, I did.
Well, since it was just like, how long did it take to shoot your scenes? For like 1 or 2 days? It really
Honestly,
was.
yeah, just a couple of days, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And the only star I guess you kind of hung out with, and even then you weren't talking with her, was Teresa Saldana, correct? Since
yeah.
your scene was kind of isolated, so
Right.
did you meet any of the other cast at all, or was it just like, I did my scene, I'm out of here, or
Yeah,
maybe a
well,
cast party or something?
usually I am, that's what you do when you're starting out. I did my scene and I was out of there. But
Yeah,
I have, Eddie, right?
right.
I have met them since then at signings and stuff, like at the Hollywood show or something. And he's like, oh my God, we got to hang out. So it's been so
Mhm.
long.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's
And
not like you're on set for 6 weeks and you become like bosom buddies or something.
right, right. And I had to think about that because I said your scene, you don't have like Eddie's not even in your scene, or when
Yeah,
you
no.
Joe Sperber or any of the other people in the film, they're all doing, I assume they shot other scenes at the same time elsewhere, like in the hotel while you're shooting on a set or something or wherever.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Usually, it's once, whatever, for whatever reason, those guys got the day off and they shot
I
my
see.
scenes.
I
And
see.
then they would say, and then they had to obviously report for the next day.
Hmm.
They wouldn't be unless, they shot my scene in an hour and then they had a later call or something.
Hmm. You seem to, around in that time, late 70s, early 80s, seem to like pop up in all sorts of different things. Like you're in the main event with Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal. How did that one kind of come
That
about?
was the coolest thing ever because I had done a lot of musical theater. I was a singer. And to meet Barbara Streisand was like, oh my gosh. And she hired me. I
Hmm.
remember when for the audition, I was to audition and I walked into her trailer and she's sitting there in makeup and we're chatting about, doing theater upstate. And it was like, it was like, I was like, oh my God, Barbara Streisand. Yeah,
Now,
pretty.
was that your first love to do, is like theater, or were you trying to get into the films, or just whatever direction you
No,
would go
I
into?
don't. Yeah, no, I mean, I just I did a lot of summer stock, like 4 years of summer stock theater, musical theater, because I was
Mhm,
a singer. And then but had also modeled as a young child. So
mhm,
I went to New York to get into, and I ended up at with Eileen Ford. And I was with Eileen Ford for a short time. And then I had then I started going out because like all the other models were going out on auditions for films and television. I'm like, oh, well, I should be doing that too, I guess.
now modeling, what types of things did you model? Were you on magazines, or were you on just products, or a little bit of both, or
Well,
what?
I was on the cover of Roller Skating magazine.
Hey.
But a lot of it was, let's just say, here's what happened. The
Mhm,
film stuff happened so quickly that she brought me in. And then what she would do is send me out to all of her photographers to have photos taken of me,
mhm,
to see photogenic, or I don't know why, but that's how they get, that's how it worked. And so before I actually even went on a job interview for Eileen, I
mhm,
was already starting a film.
hmm. And did you continue on with your modeling career later on, or were you just too busy with films and other
No,
work at that point? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
not really.
Let's see. And then it seems like later on you kind of went from film back to stage and then back to film. What was the reason for that? What was going on in your life around that time?
I came, you mean when I was working on the, yeah, so
In the
I
80s into the late 80s into the 90s, going a
yeah,
little bit
well, it was
later.
more like into the 90s. What
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
was I
yeah.
didn't want to, I want to raise my boys in the country where I was raised, and on a big farm or something.
Hmm.
So I did, and there was a lot of theater there here. So I did a lot of theater here, and then at some point I said, you know what, I think I'll go back.
Very cool. And so it's like your family basically dictated what you did, or when
Yeah,
you
yes,
performed. Okay,
exactly.
so all
Yeah.
right, very cool. Um, During that whole period of time, either during the time you were making films or during the later times when you had to make other choices because of your boys, were there any movies you wish you could have done that for whatever reason you either didn't make the cut or you just couldn't do it for whatever reason?
Well, the thing is, I wasn't really auditioning at that time, right? Because I
Okay.
just said, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I did theater. Like I put them to bed and then go to the theater. So I
Mm-hmm.
was there for them all day long. But there were absolutely, if I think about my career, I mean, because I ride horses, I would have killed to be like in a Western or be riding horses in a film. That
Mm-hmm.
I'm also like a Marvel fanatic because
Mm-hmm.
obviously I have boys and we're all, and that type of film I would have loved to have done. There are certain genres that I'm like, darn it, I didn't get to make those movies.
Of course, nowadays, there might be a possibility with the Marvel universe since it keeps expanding. You could
I
probably get a
know,
role
right?
somewhere along the line because there's a lot of actors that you go, oh, I haven't seen them in a while, and then suddenly they pop up and they're suddenly, evil scientist or the leader of
Right,
the world's
exactly.
headquarters of something or whatever, and they go, wow, I mean, a good example is like Robert Redford was just suddenly in one of them, and it's like, wow, why is he here? You know, you know
Well,
and
yeah, but it's kind of cool though. I
yeah,
mean,
it is very cool. And I assume he's a fan if he's going to do that. He's not just doing it like, I need the money. It's more that, yeah, he
yeah,
probably,
right,
yeah,
exactly. It's like
yeah,
we want you to play this, and he's like, wow, I've never played that before. That might be
yeah,
fun.
yeah. And I'm sure that's how they got like Michael Douglas for Ant-Man, different people
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, your time may come. um let's see. I just wanted to kind of run down kind of like the different actors you work with over the years and if you had any impressions, either lasting or just at the time. Jose Ferrer.
Yeah, and well, Jackie Chan too, right? I mean,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
going to ask him next. I'm not going through the list, but if
well,
you want to
that
say them together,
film.
that's fine.
What's interesting about that film, which I have told this story before, is as a young actor, and as I said, you audition, you don't know, you get it, you don't get it, whatever. You go on a lot of auditions, the percentages of films you get, or even TV shows, is not high, I would say,
Mhm.
compared to the amount of auditions you have. But I did audition for that film, and they wanted me, and I got the role. And then I was a friend was driving me, and I forget how the accident happened, but I got this scar. And so I said, oh well, I've lost that part. And they said, no, we're going to wait for it to heal. It was like, wait, what? You're kidding me. So yeah, but working with Jackie was great. I mean, and Jose Ferrer was like, oh my gosh, he's crazy. I couldn't, I was like, I mean, I knew who he was because I was a fan of old movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I am working with Jose Ferrer. And Jackie was a sweetheart. I mean, I would say that, and so incredibly talented, right? But physically talented, beside just not just the acting. But I did spend most of the film working on his lines and the pronunciation in English. Like,
Interesting.
no, yeah. So every night we'd be going over it, what we were shooting the next day. No, it sounds, you know, and he still actually has quite the accent, even
Hmm.
in more recent films, I would say.
Hmm. Another one is Richard Gere.
Yes, I was in, well, Jackie Chan's first American film,
Yeah.
Richard
Yeah.
Gere's first film.
Mhm.
You know, Tony LoBianco. Yeah, it was really the director, right? I'm like, wait, and you know, I don't find these things out till later, right? That he like To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm like, whoa. Um, but no, I thought, you know, Richard was terrific. I mean, he was really a terrific actor, and
Mhm.
obviously it was his first film, so he, yeah, no, I thought he was great.
Mhm. And then Harry Anderson, he seems like an interesting person from Night Court and everything
Yeah,
else.
he was the best. I had the most fun on that show, and it was also my first time doing live television
Hmm.
where they do it in front of an audience, right? So in that show and others, I guess I'd never done one. We rehearsed all week, and then we were going to do it in front of an audience.
Mhm.
And then of course the night where we are going on Friday night, they come and say, you know, we've kind of changed our mind about the, you know, the opening scene. Can you read can you memorize these lines? And I'm like, sure. So I'm, you know, trying to take a bite of something while I study my new lines for the opening scene that's going to happen in 20 minutes, you know, or whatever it was, an hour.
Mhm.
But that was so fun. And he was amazing. I mean, everyone on that show was funny,
Mhm.
wonderful. John La Roquette.
Mhm.
It's such a great show.
How
And
many
I was
episodes?
thrilled.
You were on there a few times. How many
No, no, no,
episodes?
just once. No, I
Oh, I
wish.
thought you were on there a couple
No,
times.
I
Oh.
was so hoping. It's
Mm.
like, don't they want Lily back to
Yeah,
play his girlfriend again? No, no.
I could have sworn you were back. Okay, so now I know. I haven't watched it in years, but it's like, I go, hey, you know. Ann Wharton is another person.
Ann Wharton.
Yeah, did I write that down? Oops.
Was that a character I played? No.
No. Let me look. I got the shock cinema. I think there's a picture of her in here.
What was she in?
I should have put what people are in. Um,
Oh, wait a minute. You were
the
actually
the
expecting my 60, how old am I? My brain to remember.
I will refresh your memory here. It's the Great American Girl Robbery, which I honestly have not seen. So, you know.
Oh yeah, that was one of the yeah, that was a kaleidoscope film. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty funny. Yeah, yeah, but because this, well, whatever. Yes, I don't want to. I barely, that was like the first one of the first films I did. And so it was like
Mhm.
nerve-wracking in that, you know, you kind of don't know what you're, you know, I mean, sure, I'm
Right.
going to walk in and act and I can act, but
Mm.
you know, it's like understanding lighting and, you know, they're setting up and where do you want me to be, that kind of stuff. But it was a fun film.
Mhm.
Haven't seen it. Was like one of those films in the 70s that they played
Right.
late night television, because a lot of them were, all of them were topless, maybe, but me, I'm like, oh no.
Like I said, I haven't seen it, so maybe I shouldn't have brought that one up, but that's okay.
Okay, well,
Anyway,
whatever.
moving on. Anyway, um, let's see. And I did mention Teresa Saldana because it's like she did great in the "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and
Yeah,
it's
he
like
was so great.
where she's like
Yeah,
lurking around the room trying to get the tickets out of the
yeah.
guy's
It's just
trousers.
that whole movie, the concept, everything about it, the way it was written, and the actors was
Yeah,
just incredible.
very cool. Okay, so like I said earlier at the top of the show, one of the reasons you're here is to kind of promote the Salem Paracon, which is going to be at November 12th and 13th at Salem State University in Salem, Massachusetts. Now,
Yeah.
how did you get involved with this? How do you know Charles?
Well,
I know Charles knows everybody, but
no, I just met
yeah.
him via Zoom the other night.
Oh,
No,
really? Oh, okay.
I have an agent, right, for signings. Like you would have an agent for acting, so I have an agent for signings.
Okay.
And I think he knows Charles, and he said, "Would you like to do, you know, because it's really more scary stuff." And you know, Meatballs wasn't exactly scary. I was in a few sort of scary movies
Yeah.
later. Um, but yeah, so he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to have Kristine DeBell," and I'm thrilled too because I have, you know, as I said, I've never been to Salem.
Hmm.
Really excited about seeing it, and but just I'm only going to be there on Saturday. So is that the 12th? Just so people
Yes.
know. If
Yep.
you want to see me, you need to come on Saturday.
All right. Now, do you have any personal paranormal experiences in your life?
It's so funny you would ask because I was so, sometimes you like don't want to talk about that because people will think you're mm, dependent person.
Yeah.
But have I had paranormal? Hmm. I would say that I'm thinking, and I'm thinking right now, to
Mhm,
the best of my ability, that I haven't actually had any,
mhm,
but I would be so excited. I believed I read a lot of sci-fi when I was a kid. My father loved it. I love it, like, Childhood's End and
mhm,
all these. So I used to take walks up to the cemetery and say, come and get me, come pick me up. I'm ready. I want to go for a ride in the spaceship.
mhm,
And yeah, because I was young. And I would say the same thing about paranormal. I mean, I haven't experienced it, but I absolutely am open-minded to all of that. I mean,
right.
we can't be so selfish to think that we're the only, yeah,
Mhm,
that there aren't that other things don't exist
mhm.
besides us. Be it
I
space
will
or not.
say that I don't think I've had a specific paranormal experience, but uh, I don't know if you ever used to watch the show Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack years ago at all. Okay. But the only reason I mention that is because this is when they covered it. Where I grew up in California, and there used to be a Toys R Us. The Toys R Us building is still there, but Toys R Us, of course, is out of business. But it was the haunted Toys R Us. And so I would go over there. It was in Sunnyvale, California, and I'd go over there because I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll see or hear anything. But it was never like what they purported on the Unsolved Mystery. Of course, they make it all spooky and everything, and they go at late at night, toys get knocked off the shelves and things like that. And it's like, it's like, I don't know.
Was it still open when you went there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was open
Oh,
until Toys R Us went bankrupt maybe 5, 6 years ago or something like that. So I just would go over there. Supposedly, and this is what had happened later on, but this is after even I went there because I'd go there every so often. It was right close enough to my house. They had a seance there once, and they brought people there doing an exorcism or something, and it supposedly solved everything. And there's no more ghosts there. So, oh well,
oh, what is that called? They had to give them all permission to, pass over for whatever
Exactly.
reason they
Yeah.
needed to see someone or, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I was one of the people who proofread Charles's book about his paranormal activities. We're not really promoting his book, so if I get the title wrong, Charles, sorry, but it's paranormal activities in the state of Connecticut is really what the book is about, and different people submitted their different stories and things like
Oh,
that.
that's so cool.
So, but he's not unique and stuff like that. I mean, I'm here in Oregon, and because it's around Halloween, I look at the the books that are set out for Halloween, and they got a paranormal book about things that happened in Oregon. So I'm sure there's been different experiences everywhere for different people. So anyway.
Yep. Well, I would say, yeah, absolutely. It's
Hmm.
the same thing about people that swear they see spaceships or get taken for a ride in a spaceship.
Hmm. And have you ever seen anything like that? Possibly a UFO or anything like that
Well,
that you
and I
would
was
say?
hoping. Remember, I took the walk, and I'm like,
Right, right.
come and pick me up. I want to go for a ride. I want to go to space. Yeah,
It'll be really cool as you go to this convention on November 12th, and you'll see something there, when you're
yeah,
there.
right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. It's
So,
like opening a closet. It's like, oh, there it is. Little duck.
so are you what is your participation there? Are you just signing photos and meeting people, or are
Yeah,
you
I mean
doing anything?
that's yeah. So I'm gonna drive in on in the morning, and I'll be there because I think it starts at 11. Maybe I'm not sure. I guess I
Yeah, I
should
didn't
check
write the
that
time. So.
out. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm gonna. Yeah, that's what I do. They'll have a table set up probably, and I sell my wares,
Mhm,
take pictures with people, chat with people like I'm doing with you that have questions about. Oh, tell me about this, and I'm like, okay.
mhm. And you know, do you do a lot of different shows like besides this one? where are you planning? Because I know we had the pandemic, so a lot of people didn't go around and about,
Yeah,
but
like they
are there
sort of
plans
ended.
for like the end of the year and into 2023 or?
Yeah, I was supposed to do Chiller, which is
Oh
in
yeah.
New Jersey, and that was canceled because of the pandemic. So I just recently did that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I did that one. It's interesting. I mean, I don't search them out. Like, someone just said to me, "Oh my gosh, can't you come to Vancouver?" And I was like, "Well, that would be really perfect because it's Canadian and Meatballs fans." And so I call my agent and say, "Can you look into getting me into a con in Vancouver?" But that's how it goes. It's like
Hmm.
a fan may say, can you come here?"
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "I can try."
Yeah.
I
Ah,
did Chicago. The Hollywood show also had a Chicago, so I've been to Chicago with the Hollywood show a couple of times. A lot of fun.
okay. Yeah, I've been
My
to the.
first one was the coolest.
Which was that?
So the very first Hollywood show in California, my I my agent said you should do a show, and I said, "What do you mean? What kind of show? What is that?"
Hmm.
And because I was like, "No, no, no! I'm a working actor. I don't want to do that. This and that." But actors that aren't working do. Maybe I had to. And so anyway, I did the show. It was fabulous. And people, because it was my first show,
Hmm.
people drove from Oregon. They flew in from the Midwest. They came from all over. And it was so, I was like, wait a minute. Because you know what it's like when you're working as an actor, I didn't know I had fans.
Yeah.
I remember getting a fan letter once. And when I was living in Los Angeles in the late 70s, early 80s, I guess. And he said, "I wish I knew where you lived because I'd sit on your roof and wait for you to come out and jump." I was like, "Oh my." So I guess maybe in that context, it was a little scary.
Hmm.
So I just, I didn't know that, I didn't know that getting autographs was a thing either. It's like
Yeah.
people want an autograph.
Yeah.
So I did not know anything about it. So
Yeah.
it's really been, a fun journey to, do those types of things, to meet fans and talk to fans. And,
Right.
I've had people come to the Hollywood show dressed in characters from Meatballs. It's so great.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it more than I have to tell you this. This is also the Hollywood show. I went to it a couple times, probably about 10 years ago. And they had a cast reunion for Laverne and Shirley. Unfortunately, most of the people that were there have passed, but Penny Marshall was there, and it was like her first show, and she wasn't getting it. She wasn't into it at all, and she was just kind of grousing and grumbling. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't get this. I don't know why people want my autograph. So,
Yeah, no, I
uh,
have. I was I at that show? No, but I have seen some people that aren't as happy about it. Or
yeah.
it,
And
it's
I was within earshot when I said that, and I said, it's like, well, it's like it's a chance to meet people that like your work and stuff like that. And she was just like, meh. Maybe
eh.
she's having a bad day. I don't know.
Or maybe he's just was in a grumpy mood. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But that's the only thing I noticed. It was, I think it was that show, but it might have been, I did like two or three right in a row, but one of them was the very last, almost the very last thing Davy Jones the Monkeys did. And so this is like in February of 2012.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I've told this story many times, but I'll say it again, is that if there was a bet as to who wouldn't be with us after February, I wouldn't have bet on Davy Jones because he was like all animated and everything like that. And at the same show, there was Martin Landau, who was looking pretty elderly at that time, but he lived a few more years. And then Carla Lemley, who was the daughter of the founder of Universal,
Oh,
and she was 105, and she still lived a couple more years. I was like,
Carl
whoa.
Lumley. I did. What was that Life Pod I did with Carl? Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. But at the
That's
time I met her, she was 105, So anyway, but
signing autographs
yeah. What?
and still signing autographs.
Yeah, still signing autographs, yeah. And
Amazing.
I don't know how much of an autograph hound I am, but I just enjoy meeting and talking to people. That's part of the reason I do this podcast and things like
Yeah,
that.
right. Exactly. No, I
You know.
get that.
And so when Charles said, "Hey, I want you to have Kristine on your show," and
And
I
you
had
said Christine who?
Yeah. Pretty. No, I hate to say that, but I knew you from Meatballs. But I said, what else has she done? I had to look it up and everything. Like, oh yeah. But like I said, it's like the I want to hold your hand. I've seen that so many times. It's like, oh, it's that scene, because I don't
Right, right,
think
yeah,
about that
right.
scene, because I always think about the scenes where they're trying to get on the show and the Beatles are on stage performing and everything, and it's like I'm glad your scene made it in. It made it a more well-rounded picture as opposed to
Yeah,
just
right, exactly. As opposed to them just right,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because it really was.
yeah, because it could have just been Beatles come to do show, the end, but it was nice to have all those little side stories. I thought that made it more interesting. So
Yep.
let's see. Uh, I don't know if I have any more questions right now. I hate to say that because, it just kind of, is there any films you are like especially proud of, or do you wish people, this is like a two-part question, or is there a film in your backlog that you wish had a little more notoriety or fame that people don't really talk about?
No, I mean, I don't think so because most people, it's Meatballs, and
Yeah.
I'm right there with you because we had as much fun making that as
Mhm.
I think people, felt when they saw it. And the other thing, the reason why I loved it so much is that when you work in theater or in film, whatever, but improvisation, right?
Mhm.
So, and oftentimes it's like I'll say to a director, "Are you married to these words?" Because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like I would say it in a different way or whatever, and sometimes oh no, what is this is what's written, and so in with Meatballs,
Mhm.
Bill was all about improvisation, and Ivan just ran with it. It was like what makes me in the opening scene where Bill says the rules, the gentleman will be, and then he's ripping up the rules in the trash can,
Mhm.
and that I feel like that was that was the script.
Mhm.
So we were all, and in the scene in the girls' cabin
Mhm.
when I'm crawling on the floor, I said, "Well, why don't we try this and let's pop our heads out of the tree like Laurel and Hardy, whatever." It's all so, and that's why I love it so much because we all had the opportunity to have an input in what it became.
Mhm. And I think you said, I keep promoting this, but you sell these copies, the Shock Cinema interview with you. I think you said it in there that the improv aspect of it was a part that you liked the most about doing Meatballs,
Yes. Yeah, and
and
it's true because it's just, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, right? But it's just,
mm,
and surely there are incredible films made with beautifully written scripts. But when someone comes and says, "Oh, well, let's try this, let's try that," and it's like, wow, yeah, that's more like theater.
yeah. I think comedy tends to lend itself more to, kind of
Yeah,
improv, I would think.
yeah.
You
No, I
correct me
think
if I'm
so.
wrong. I mean, I've done precious little acting, but I know enough about it, that it just seems like um if you're doing a drama, the whole point is to get that story across, and you can't really go off onto some tangent because
Well,
then
yeah,
it's suddenly comedy, so
yeah, right,
so
exactly.
so
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It does absolutely lend itself.
mhm. At this point, you said you're still working actress. So are there any projects that we should look forward to
Oh no,
from
no,
you?
I'm not really.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's
Yeah,
when you started
no, no,
doing these
no.
autograph shows. You said that.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I thought that was the reason.
I just,
Well,
took a break. I was, making films
mhm,
in LA, and I was like, you know what? I want to move back to the country, and
mhm.
you know, I mean, I guess if someone knocked on my door and said I've got this amazing film,
Right.
we're filming it. Yeah, yeah, I have been contacted on
Okay.
such a
Okay.
script, but
So, hey, Disney with the Marvel universe, get this person.
I think they usually take people with a little more star quality than me. I would love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would just love to see you just have a cameo based on, just our little chit chat here today.
Yeah, something about a meatball hitting me in the face or something,
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
be pretty funny.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else other than, we kind of talked about the little personal appearances and things like that. Are you in the process of working on, say, a book or anything else, or any other projects people should be aware of?
Not me per
Okay.
se, and I've been asked, a lot of people have asked me if they could write my story, my life
Mhm.
story, but my son has taken that on. My son's a writer,
Okay.
and he's working on other projects right now, but at some point he wants to be the one. And I said, absolutely, as my son,
Cool.
you are it.
Okay, so that's not completed at anytime
Yeah,
soon, right? Okay,
yeah.
okay. Otherwise, I'd say, hey, do the plug for that. And
I know.
and I guess if people want to contact you other than at shows, like if they wanted to get a signed autograph through the mails or some other way.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no, they do because I'm on social media. It's
uh,
like I can be contacted on Kristine DeBell on Instagram, Kristine DeBell on Twitter, Kristine DeBell on my Facebook fan page.
okay, very good. All right, and well, we're all looking forward to. I wish I could be there, but you're 3,000 miles away.
Come
But,
on, just fly in. You know
I
you
know.
want it.
I'll probably be in Salem, Oregon, which is only an hour away. But
Yeah,
anyway,
right, exactly. Oh, Kristine, by the way, I'm going to Salem too, but a different Salem.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, well, I hope they do some sort of witch trial or something there. It'd be kind of interesting since
Yeah,
it's set in Salem and everything like
yeah,
that.
that should be pretty
But
cool.
do you want to give an extra plug about your appearance? I'll let you do that. So have the
Where
floor.
am I appearing? Oh,
Oh,
yes. Come. Uh, I will be at the Salem Paracon on November
12th. 12th.
12th. Yes. So be there or be square. You know you want to come to Salem. And you get to see me too. Woohoo.
Yay. Now I was looking on the website. It says other special guests. Do you happen to know any of the other special guests? It's very tight-lipped right now, and I'm like,
Really?
oh my God, I'm
I
sure there'll
thought I
be.
was the only special guest.
Yeah,
What the
it
heck?
might be, but I don't know. It says around 50 special guests, and I'm like, wow, but they might be authors and other things,
Yeah,
paranormal
who knows?
experts and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So, but
And
it doesn't
oh,
list anything on the website, so I can't ask you anything about that.
yeah, okay. Well, you can't ask me. I don't know. But
Okay.
make sure if you're coming to see me on Saturday, the
12th.
12th, be sure to come to Salem, Mass, not Salem, Oregon.
That's correct. If you look for Kristine with me in Salem, Oregon, you'll be severely disappointed. So anyway, um, well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Do a short and sweet show, which is fine. I've done those,
Yep.
and I don't want to belabor
It was so
everything.
nice meeting you, and
It was
thank
very
you for
nice meeting
having me
you,
on. And
and
to my fans.
yay. And be sure to see Kristine DeBell at the Salem Paracon on November 12th only. You can attend the convention on the 12th and the 13th, but this lady, Kristine DeBell, will only be there the 12th. So I would say spend your time with her on the 12th and then come back on the 13th and spend time with the 49 other guests. So all right. So I appreciate you being my guest today, Kristine, and it was a pleasure
and,
talking with you.
and thank you for having me on. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you. And
Take
we will
care.
talk to you soon. And
Okay.
that wraps up another Fun Ideas podcast. And we will see you next time.
Yep.